let's have a conversation about this. On Zoom is Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired. He's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations Ghana. He's also a security expert. Colonel, thank you so much for your patience once again. I think you're muted. If you can unmute for us, then we can hear you. But whilst Colonel unmutes, I also have here in the studio Adib Sani. He's a security analyst, executive director of Jatike Center. Adib, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Colonel, are you unmuted now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So this developing story has been unfolding since morning. We're told that some arrests have been made. If you put it all together, we're looking at somewhere between 31 and 32. Some of them have been brought here to Accra and will be crossing over to the Air Force Base where they were brought. Our correspondents are there to talk to them as well. But what do you see from where you stand? I mean, what's your assessment of the situation as of now?
Well, the internet was misbehaving.
It looks better now.
If you're asking me what I make of this,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Please go ahead.
Yeah. The omens are not good. And we all need to continue to be worried about this secessionist problem. We can trace today's event all the way to, if you like, 2017, when it started evolving. And it has, in a way, intensified through a number of different activities. Hoisting of flags, placement of signages, declaring certain places as being within the bounds of Western Togoland. One of the critical ones being the establishment of a training base. You know, then you have the radio station that used to be at Sogakope, which was closed down twice, I believe. So all of these things are signs that I believe should concern all of us. Now, for some strange reason, we know more about this group than what the government is telling us as to what it knows about this group, and indeed what it is doing precisely to resolve the issue. And that kind of disconnect, you know, is not good for whatever campaign strategy that the government wants to evolve. The government has not spoken to Ghanaians. And anytime we hear about an incident like today's incident, it is what we're reading in the media, multimedia, TV3, other radio stations. What is the government doing about this situation? Then, of course, the people who have been brought here, if they are released tomorrow or day after, whatever it is, we will get to know, not because the government has spoken to us, but because the media has published that story. What exactly is going on? And how is the government dealing with the situation? These are two questions that the government needs to address.
Okay.
First of all, to seize the initiative in terms of the information campaign, and then to get the support of all Ghanaians, you know, behind its cause, which we can discuss, you know. Further.
Very well. Very well. Colonel, thank you very much for that. Adib, let me come to you. You have already issued an article. You've sent it through an article, published an article that is saying, or that is demanding a resignation of the National Security Minister. Colonel here has raised the same concern about how government doesn't seem to be talking to the people. Since morning, I'm sure there has been some kind of response or reaction to the article you posted today.
Well, I've received a number of calls from highly placed sources who sought to find out why do I even have to call for the resignation of the National Security Minister. But my issues are very consistent with those issues that has been raised by my senior colleague, Colonel Festus. This issue has been simmering for some time now. We have failed to address it the way it should be. And I'm particularly gobsmacked by the fact that we seem not to be learning lessons from other jurisdictions. Boko Haram didn't start as an arms insurrection. Unfortunately, the Nigerian authorities didn't handle it well. And today, Boko Haram is not posing an existential threat to only Nigeria, but the whole West African subcontinent. Talk about the English speakers in Cameroon wanting their Republic of Ambazonia. It started all like a joke. And we can talk about the northern Malians, the Tuaregs and other Bedouin Arab tribes wanting their Republic of Azawad. It all starts like a joke. I remember when this issue started somewhere in 2017, I listened to some people even joking, about the fact that Papa V is old and frail with that walking stick. But from years of industrial expertise in areas of this nature, I have also personally researched and written a lot about secessionist movements. And I juxtaposed the early warning signs with that of Ghana. And trust me, I knew from day one that we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. Unfortunately, when we spoke about it, some called us doomsayers, doommongers, others called us naysayers. But I do know the implications this can pose to this country. And it is quite obvious the group has become more audacious, they've become more brazen. In the past, they have made strong political statements, like Colonel rightly mentioned, the hoisting of flags, the mountain of signages, and still, we seem not to get it right, okay? But today, see, they are taking over towns. And the next minute, I pray it doesn't get to that stage, but it is with a heavy heart for me to say that the next target might be our critical infrastructure. And it's particularly that because, you see, Accra to Juapong is about 100 kilometers. And when you look at the whole stretch all the way through Atimpuku, there's no military detachment there. Okay, and we have, most interestingly, a lot of critical infrastructure. So you can imagine, now that they're going after police stations, the next minute they go after the dams, they go after the bridges. That would pose a much more serious issue to us than we can comprehend. It's
interesting that you make that statement, because I want to bring Colonel in, and I want us to look at, I'm not sure it is a strategy. Oh, it looks like we've lost him. I'm not sure it is a strategy, what happened today. But if you look at what the places that we're reporting from, my colleague Fred Smith was reporting from the hydroelectric dam area in Akuse. They went to, some of them were also arrested in Juapong, and they were talking about the Volta region. And in the Volta region, what I'm learning is that the area where this started is quite close to a military military, so I wouldn't want to say military base, more like a military post as well. So I wanted us to speak to, since Kiano has been more in the military, wanted to get his thoughts on that one. But I'll come back to you, Adib. Let's go to Kwesi Parker Wilson, who is joining me from the Air Force Base, where those who were arrested were brought through that area, airlifted, of course. Parker, what can you report? Okay, Parker, let's have you unmuted. Let's have you unmuted on that device, and then we'll get back to you. So Parker is trying to get us what is happening at the Air Force Base now, where those were arrested, exactly. So those are some of the visuals that Kwesi Parker Wilson is bringing us from the Air Force Base. These are some of the people. We're looking at about 30 of them who have been arrested. They were airlifted from where they were arrested to this particular place, and Parker is standing by to give us more information. What more can we learn about these people and what is happening there? But Adib, let me take your thoughts on what you're seeing right now. You see, that is the firefight approach we've used over the years, and it's not helping. It should go beyond the arrest. When you say firefighting approach? We wait until things spiral out of control. Then you see us running helter-skelter, looking for solutions, so-called confidence-building patrols and all that. But there are underlying issues that we are failing to address. As a matter of fact, you see, you cannot arrest everybody there. Let us target the leaders. Let us target the inflows. Let us collaborate in a much more progressive manner with the Togolese authorities. Because mind you, these guys have a geographical advantage, okay? They have a thick forest cover, and they can easily, run into the neighboring country. And under international law, we wouldn't be obliged to follow them there. But when there's collaboration, that can help to a large extent. Okay, so I wanted us to talk about, you mentioned another thing which sounds to me like strategy of a group that really wants to sort of take over and they have their strategy. Well, you talk about where they hide or where they are placed in the thick forest. Let's look at what happened today. Do you see any strategy at play here in terms of where they are based? First of all, in a thick forest today, we're looking at the hydroelectric dam area in Akuse, and then we're looking at what happened in Juapong. Of course, there's that bridge that you mentioned as well, and then the Volta region where we're saying that it is close to a military post, the brazenness, of course. Do you see any strategy at play? Yes,
there's a strategy right from day one. And trust me, despite the fact that the security agencies are now in control of the situation, it is safe to say that the Togolanders have succeeded on this occasion because they've succeeded in disrupting public life. They've succeeded in taking the country hostage. They've succeeded in carving and directing the narrative, because you and I are sitting here talking about it, and it's giving them more legitimacy. Okay. That is exactly what they aim to achieve.
Right. I'm going to come back to you. I just need to get quickly to Parker, because before we lose him, technology always has its own ways. Parker, I can see you clearly now. Do tell us what is happening where you are.
All right. So, Gifty, just behind me is the aircraft which landed just about 20 minutes ago, where 15 suspected members of the Homeland Study Group, or those you want to call the Western Togoland, came. Now, the militiamen and the police officials asked them to sit on the floor here where they were seated, and then they got all their particulars. They were asked of their names, they searched their bags, and Gifty, interestingly, some of the people had the new voters' ID card with them. And the question the media was asking is, these individuals are asking for some independence for the voter region, and yet the new registration, they went to register for the new voters' ID card. So right from here, they moved them to the military and police track where they got them on board, and now we are told that they are being taken to the BNI head office. That is where they are going to interrogate them. Now, Gifty, these individuals are 31. 31.
Okay.
I only counted one female, and the rest are 30 men. And so 30 men, one female. We are told by the official here that all of them were arrested at Juapong. Only one person was picked up at Akuse. So these are the information we picked up on the ground at the Air Force Base. And the officials here tell me that they cannot speak on record because they haven't been authorized to speak on the matter. But of course, when we go to the BNI headquarters, they can give us the access to have the interview with the officials in charge of this operation. So if you're asking what is happening here, unfortunately, the people have moved to the BNI office. That's why you can't see them. But this is the aircraft, the helicopter that brought them in just about 25 minutes ago.
Okay, Parker, I'll leave you to it whilst you look for more information for us from the BNI as you head towards them. And hopefully, perhaps we'll be able to talk to some of these people as well. Also, Parker, thank you. Kwesi Parker Wilson, they're coming to us live from the Air Force base, where those arrested, 31 of them, Parker says, have been brought in. It's interesting, the people involved here, it says 31 of them, only one is female. The last time they were arrested, those who were said to be training in the forest were arrested. There was also one female. Now, those people we heard were let go, and we'll be getting some background on that from our court correspondent, what happened with their case so far. But do let me, when we have the Colonel joining us, you were talking about the strategy. You say that it is clear and obvious that there is a kind of strategy at play here. They've succeeded, you say, in disrupting public life, creating that unnecessary traffic in that area. Also, you say they have directed the narrative, which is the point that Colonel also makes.
Exactly. And interestingly, one of the means they are using is propaganda. They are appealing to the conscience of the people in that area.
How do you think they're doing that?
They take advantage of local grievances. As a matter of fact, they are riding on the back of local grievances to get some level of community support for their cause. And trust me, largely they have succeeded to a very large extent, because they've succeeded in letting some individuals within that community think that they've been marginalized, their identity has been questioned. That's why sometimes when I see us reducing politics to tribalism, it aches my heart, because I do know the implications of tribal politics. No matter how petty it is. One of the issues that culminated into the Rwandan genocide was the fact that a lot of Hutus felt, the Tutsi women felt they were more beautiful and they were seductresses. I mean, you can imagine how pedestrian that is. But that is a serious issue. So we should really, as a matter of patriotism, eschew the politics of tribalism, because it is working in favor of this group. And once you have the community supporting them, they give them cover, they give them protection, and it will be extremely difficult to nip it in the bud.
Okay, talking about community support. Now, this group has been operating for some time now. We'll give you a little bit of a background to this group and how they've been operating. They were arrested at some point, but like Adib here is saying, their leader, who is very old, I think in his 80s, they were released. The last time we had a conversation on this, we couldn't really find out his whereabouts. We didn't know his whereabouts. But court correspondent Joseph Akable is joining me via Zoom. Joseph will refresh our memory on their case so far. Joseph, tell us.
Hello, Gifty.
Yeah. So let's go through the background. You know, give us an idea how the case involving this particular group has traveled over the period.
And so we are limiting ourselves to just from March of 2017. And since March 2017, there have been series of arrests. The trend has been the same. They are arrested mostly in the Volta region where they operate. They are then taken to Accra or put before the courts there. Afterwards, they are either granted bail or the state drops the case against them. And so that has been a trend. And so first, in March 2017, 3 members of the group led by Charles Komi Kujoji, who was at the age of 78 in 2017, who is the founder of the group, and there was also 57-year-old Martin Esiama Agbenu and Divine Odonko, who is also 65 years old. These 3 individuals were arrested in March 2017. They were charged with treason. In July of 2017, the state dropped the charges against them, but a judge warned that it should be of good behavior when he was discharging them, as the state had requested that they are no longer interested in prosecuting this particular matter. Then in May of 2019, 9 members were arrested. Once again, they were charged with treason in the Volta region and subsequently brought to Accra. In fact, they were taken to a court, a circuit court in the Volta region. The court declined jurisdiction, and the state now transferred them to Accra, where they were put before the High Court. And for a serious offense of treason, 3 judges of the High Court were assembled to sit on this particular matter. In July of 2019, so after they were arrested in May 2019, and none of them were brought to Accra, and in July of 2019, the state once again dropped their charge against them. The interesting thing about this is, even before the state dropped their charge against them, the judge had warned that he was unhappy about how the state was handling the case, because since May, when they were brought to the court, the state had been asking for adjournment, and so he had warned that at the next date, if they are not ready to proceed to the case, they need to take a decision and let these individuals go. And the point that the prosecutor had made was that they are still gathering the evidence and they are putting their house together and they will at the right time make all the evidence available and enable the case to progress. Then in July, when the case returned to court, this time around the state says it doesn't intend to continue with the case again. So they discharged these 9 individuals. Now in November 2019, the police mounted a manhunt for Papavi, the leader of the group, Charles Komi Kujoji. This was after he had released a video recording in which he declared the area independent. And so the police were on a manhunt for him. He has not been arrested to date. And so still in November, the Homeland Group, another group, emerges again to declare independence few meters from the police regional training school in the Volta region. And so that was also an issue of worry. Then in February 2020, if you recall, the 21 individuals who were arrested while training in the forest in K2 that you made reference to, these are 21 persons who were arrested in February 2020. Then in March 2020, the state once again, after transferring them to Accra and putting them before the circuit court, the state drops the charges against them once again. Then in September 2020, signposts begin to emerge in parts of the country, in the eastern region and also in the Volta region. This is a signpost welcoming people into the Western Togoland area. The police pulled down the signpost and they again mounted a manhunt for the individuals who mounted these signages. And so they've not been able to arrest anyone yet. with regards to that. So that is how the matter has traveled from March 2017 till September 2020. So the records is that there has not been a single prosecution that has been followed through. There hasn't been a single conviction. All we've had is arrest and leveling charges and discontinuing the cases against these individuals.
Joseph, thank you very much. Comprehensively put together once again. Joseph Akable is our court correspondent. So he takes you through what has happened and he identifies for you the trends. He says there hasn't been any prosecution. The cases are consistently dropped when they are arrested and they are let go. And then the signs you say were clear to us. But what do you make of that trend? They are arrested. What did you say is somehow also a strategy to be able to let these people get out there so you can follow them, you can trace them and get the necessary information that could help you foil their plans?
I strongly doubt, because our intelligence gathering so far as this Western Togoland issue is concerned has been extremely abysmal.
Why do you say so?
We've reduced it all to arrest. Arrest is just like 10% of the solution to what is going on. As a matter of fact, there's no longer even a solution. We can only manage it. But you see, in conflict analysis and mediation, we use a number of theories. We have the pillar theory, we have the pin theory, that is the position, interest, need theory, that you use to make sense of a situation, appreciate it, and deal with it from the root causes. It's just like a farmer getting rid of weeds on his farm. Does he just trim the top? No, you uproot it. But on this occasion, we've only succeeded in trimming the top. And the next minute, we'll be back to talking about this issue again. There are legitimate fundamental issues we are actually failing to look at, so far as this is concerned. Gifty, there are national security operatives in every single metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly area in Ghana. But largely, they lack the skills set. They lack the equipment to be able to gather not just actionable intelligence, but interpret the intelligence real time and disseminate the intelligence to the appropriate authorities to take action real time. Unfortunately, that has not been so. I listened to the Volta regional minister who said, but for intelligence, it could have been worse. But the people were able to buzz other people from other areas. So what is the use of intelligence? Intelligence is to preempt and prevent, mostly. That is how it's supposed to be.
But he's saying that they have, I mean, there's something that it could have been worse, like you said. But then it means what we're seeing is as a result of the work they have done in the background. If what the minister said is anything to go by. If
they had done a good job, we wouldn't have gotten to this stage. There are many issues within that area. Apart from the fact that the intelligence officers are not capacitated enough. They lack the equipment, they lack the skill set, because every single day, these issues, transnational intrastate security changes. Yesterday's insecurity is not as today. Okay, these people are getting the support of the communities. What do? Let us also invest in human security. Let us ensure that certain basic necessities of life is catered for. Because what these secessionists do is, you see, there's been a budget, they forgot voter roads, and they ride on some of these lapses. I do know there are a number of interventions. We have the youth employment, you have the NAPCO, you know, one district, one factory, etc. But I think we need to invest more so we counteract the argument, the propaganda these guys are using to conveniently recruit more people to support their cause. If not, we might be met, worst case scenario, with an asymmetrical situation where a state is against a non-state actor, they hit, they retreat into the bush, and it is usually a very difficult war to win, considering what is going on in Nigeria. Nigeria has the strongest military in terms of numbers, in terms of logistics in West Africa. But don't you ask yourself, how come they can't just decimate Boko Haram? Because it's an asymmetrical situation, which is usually extremely difficult to win, like the case of Vietnam between 1965 and 75. Between now and we're wrapping up with this, unfortunately, we've not been able to raise a Colonel budget, but we'll try that. But also, we'll have a lengthy conversation about this much later this evening here on JoyNews. So between now and, say, next week, what are your expectations of feasible expectations of what our security agencies ought to do as we deal with this particular issue? First, we have to build confidence. So I welcome the confidence building patrols. We have to let the people understand government is still largely in charge. Immediately, we have to get in touch and collaborate effectively with the Togolese authorities, because my initial assessment points to the fact that there's cross-border activities, including the the trafficking of small arms and light weapons to oil the seeming war machine these guys are putting together. Okay. We should also really look at intelligence gathering in the area, train our intelligence officers so we are able to gather actionable intelligence which is disseminated to appropriate authorities in real time. And most importantly, Gifty, let us invest in human security. Since the removal of General Nunu Mensah retired as the boss of the the Human Security Directorate at the National Security Secretariat. Trust me, it's been almost defunct. We think military is all, security is all about the militarized posture, but it is important to give hybridity some level of leverage. Let us go beyond just militarizing and concentrate on human security so you don't have these people filling in the vacuum and getting the communities to be part of that, process. So
dealing with the softer side of all of these, winning the hearts and the minds of the people as against, like what he's saying, getting in firefighting when it becomes worse. This is all time will allow us for this particular conversation, but like I'm saying, we're planning on having a lengthier conversation. We'll talk to you more about that. But Ibrahim, thank you so much for coming. Adib Sani is security analyst, executive director of Jatike Center. We also had Colonel Festus Abwaje, who joined us via Zoom. We've lost him, unfortunately. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much for coming.